You got questions, I got answers. Welcome into our first postseason Mailbag edition of Seahawks Today, where we will be talking all about the offseason. Whatever questions you have, I will answer them. We can even look back on the season that was. Let me know in the comment section using the hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat to get on the show. This is a part of our live show edition of Seahawks Today, and you may be wondering, well, how do I be a part of that? Well, we go live every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. And if you subscribe to the channel, then you're never going to miss a moment of Seahawks Today by Chat Sports. You ain't alive, you ain't subscribed. Make sure you're subscribed and all your fellow Seahawk fans are, because we have a hell of an offseason ahead here on the channel. Subscribe now, youtube.com/SeahawksTV. The GOAT, Mark Sanchez, writes in, if he's there at 6th, Hendon Hooker, great arm, attitude, athletic. I understand he's coming off an ACL tear, but he could sit for a year definitely, and we'll see him in his second year. So here's what I have interesting on this, Mark Sanchez. Let me break this down piece by piece. Hendon Hooker was on his way to winning the Heisman Trophy and potentially taking Tennessee to the college football playoff before he got hurt. And before he got hurt, he was skyrocketing up draft boards, getting to about a first-round grade potentially, and then had the ACL tear. I think that he could still go second round, potentially, even with the ACL tear in sitting out all of this next year. If he's available in the 6th, hell yeah, you take him. If he is available in the 4th or 5th, maybe you even consider that. I like Hendon Hooker. He was going to be a project anyway. He's an older quarterback and adapting to an NFL system compared to what he was doing under Josh Heupel at Tennessee. But, yeah, if he's available in the 6th, I don't even think you think twice about bringing in Hendon Hooker potentially. Blake Howard writes in, hashtag Seahawks. Would Bresee at 20th be considered the move? I think so. Bryan Bresee would be a very good pickup for the Seahawks there at that 20th spot. To me, he's got a lot of potential, a lot of talent that he brings to the table. I think they'd be thrilled if he made his way to Seattle, if they could get him at that 20th spot. And he's a guy that, we still have the combine and we still have all these different, all-star games of sorts over the next few weeks. He's somebody that I think could find his way moving up boards here in the next few weeks as far as I'm concerned. Next question from The Great. Aegon The Great. I've heard some people have Will Levis as the best quarterback in this draft. Your thoughts? Hashtag Seahawks. So some people would be Mel Kiper, actually. Mel Kiper Jr. Of ESPN has Will Levis as the number one quarterback in this draft. And I think that's actually ridiculous. Will Levis, I was disappointed in. I did not think he was that great this past season. I was disappointed in what Will Levis did in 2022. And that Kentucky team was not as good as they should have been. Will Levis was very inconsistent. He's got all the raw tools. He's a good runner, good passer, good arm. He's got all of that. But he did not put it together like he should have at Kentucky this past year. So I don't like him as the number one quarterback. I would take Bryce Young and I'd take C.J. Stroud over him. I see where guys like Mel Kiper fall in love with the intangibles, but I'm out on the idea of Will Levis personally as far as that number 5 pick goes for Seattle. Maybe at 20 potentially, but not at 5. And I can't stand Anthony Richardson. I think he sucks. Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud are the two quarterbacks I have my eyes on here. Who's the best quarterback in this draft class? It's our pinned comment today. Let me know. What do you think? Who is the best quarterback? Give me a name who you believe. Could have been one of those 4 quarterbacks. Could have been somebody else. Let me know in the comment section below. Mark, again, checking in, says, that's what happens when the D is a hybrid. Pick a base and stick with it, Pete. You want to be aggressive and cover with our backers, but we simply don't have the horses. But this draft is saturated. A great word, according to Jeremy Chugs, one of his favorites, in D talent. So he's talking about Poona Ford is what Mark's referring to, as we talked about him in a video earlier this week of what Poona Ford brought to the table this past year in Seattle, where he kind of underperformed of sorts, that he was overworked and They never found that consistency of sorts for him. And, Mark, I agree. I mean, this defense, it was so inconsistent. When it was on, it was on. And then when it was off, it was just simply off. And so as you find more players that fit the scheme of what Clint Hurt wants to do, and this draft should help with that, then I think that you'll have less guys out of place potentially on that front as far as that goes. So that's the way I look at it there. Duke to God writes, hashtag Seahawks, do you think we need a better QB? And I bring in Jeremy Chuggs here with me for this question, as they want to hear directly from Chuggsy. Chuggsy, welcome to the show. What do you think? Geno had a good year.
Yeah.
Could they do better than that?
I think the play here is you keep Geno. You say, hey, we'll give you a 2-year deal. We'll give you fully guaranteed a 2-year deal. He's earned it from this past year of how he played and how admirably he played. He said, hey, Geno, we're going to give you a 2-year deal, fully guaranteed. We're going to bring in a young guy to have you kind of mentor him, do that, Obviously, if you play great in these 2 years, we'll extend you another year or two fully guaranteed. Or you franchise tag Geno. But I think at this point, there's no QB on the open market that I'd have rather than Geno. I mean, I don't want Derek Carr over Geno. I don't want Jimmy G over Geno.
You don't want Lamar Jackson.
Well, I mean, if Lamar Jackson hits free agency, that's one thing. But then you also have to pay him bukus of money. Lamar Jackson wants to be the highest paid quarterback in the league. And you want to go ahead and, spend all that money on a guy that's been hurt that often?
Right.
I don't think so. So I think where you are right now, obviously you want a better quarterback, but
I would say this to add to your point. I'm not looking to add to another quarterback that's already in the league, but I'm totally open to the idea of drafting and bringing in a guy that way that might be better than Geno at some point, but maybe not necessarily as better than Geno now.
And a crazy stat this year, the top 4 paid quarterbacks in the league this year did not make the playoffs. Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, none of them made the playoffs. All 4 of the top 4 paid quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah, it's a great point. And this year, no playoff wins from Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers, which is crazy.
And see, it just goes to prove you don't have to spend the most to get a quality product.
Right.
Just like this deal from Fanatics, Tyler.
Yeah, it's a great deal. You can save over 25% off on this T-shirt combo. And with 2023 around the corner, you guys know the Seahawks are going to be rocking at some point this upcoming season the throwbacks to the old AFC days. And so you might as well get ahead on the action and get yours now while supplies last. Take advantage of this deal with these T-shirts over 25% off. Get yours now. Chatsports.com/Seahawks combo. Start saving today. Rock out with your Hawk out, and you'll be glad you did. Matthew writes, trade D. Eskridge for a late third-round pick. I don't know who's giving up a third-round pick for D. Eskridge, but I am more than okay, Matthew. And I like the profile pic, by the way. Sexy with a bit of gangster. Matthew, I am more than okay with the idea of moving on from D. Eskridge personally. And, I don't think you're getting a third, but 6th at the most. I think you'll take that personally. Whatever you can get, because D. Eskridge can't stay healthy. He hasn't played great when he has been on the football field. But, yes, it might be time to move on. Temper writes, who should the Seahawks sign in free agency? Very good question as far as who they should sign in free agency. We did a whole video on this on Tuesday, breaking down the top 40 free agent targets potentially for the Seahawks. And just like with the draft, I would look at defensive talent potentially for the Seahawks of who they would look at. And for me, I would say, Deron Payne is going to be a guy that's a free agent. Marcus Davenport is going to be a free agent. Those type of players potentially are the ones I'd be looking at. But I'll say this. Here's my caveat to all of this. The Seahawks have 9 draft picks, right? And they already have a young team. This is not a team that I think is is trying to throw some Band-Aids on and hope for a Super Bowl run. This is still about the long term and building forward with this young group. I still prioritize the draft over free agency and then potentially spend money after that. Figure out what you can find in the draft first, then go to free agency from there. In a perfect world, give me your dream free agent target for the Seahawks. Who is it? Give me a name that's a free agent out there that seems like the perfect choice for this Seahawks team. Let me know in the comment section who comes to mind, who your dream free agent target is. Chat Sports legend, the Pass Master, checking in. Hashtag Seahawks. Tyler, I think you guys get a few key positions on defense taken care of, and then you guys are good. Maybe a better wide receiver 3. What say you? Yeah, I mean, you look at this Seahawks team. As young as they are, it's about tweaking things. And no one's ever going to be perfect. No one is. But I think you look at it this way. The offensive line needs some upgrades at the guard and the center spot. The defensive line obviously can get better. The linebacking core, you're going to be without Jordan Brooks for most of the next year. And I would like to upgrade over Cody Barton personally. Corner, I mean, we're going to see Tariq Woolen and Kobe Bryant continue to develop. You can get away with Mike Jackson there. The safety spots, Quandre Diggs is still playing pretty good football. You'll get Jamal Adams back. Ryan Neal is also going to be back. I mean, you could still draft there potentially. So, sure, there's places you could get better. You're good enough to get by in certain spots, but you can get better in others if that makes sense. So, I agree, Passmaster. Raw Hector, do you see any coaching changes this offseason in Seattle? Sean Desai, who I believe his official title, if I remember correctly, is one of the lead assistant coaches. I believe he's associate head coach is his official title, and then defensive assistant. He's going to be looked at for several jobs to move on, be defensive coordinator. Personally, I would like him at DC over Clint Hurtt, but I don't see any changes there. I think that's really about the only change. I think for the most part, you're going to see this entire staff come back in place pretty much as is. I was impressed with Shane Waldron, what he was able to do with his offense this year, the way he developed Geno Smith. And Shane Waldron's name hasn't come up for any head coaching jobs at this point in time. I think the staff, for the most part, is pretty much going to stay in place as is. Crystal ball time. Quick question. Who's going to win the Super Bowl this year? Man, it's interesting, isn't it? With the Seahawks out, now we get to just kind of sit back and watch everybody else. I will be rooting hard against the Niners and the Cowboys. It's unfortunate somebody gets to win that football game. Who do you think wins it all? For me, I'm going with the Philadelphia Eagles, personally. What say you? Let me know in the comment section below. Mark checks back in, says, gross thought. Do you think Lamar Jackson might end up with the Rams? They're always trading for star players. Okay, Mark, here's the one thing. Although Lamar sounds like a move the Rams would make, remember the whole F them picks thing? They don't have any draft capital. They got nothing. I mean, they don't have the assets to bring in Lamar Jackson. I mean, you'd have to package Matt Stafford. And then what are you going to send? Like a 2025 or 2030 first-round pick? So although it sounds like something the Rams would do, they don't have the draft picks to make this happen, a trade like that. So I see where you're coming from, but I would be shocked as could be if the Rams somehow ended up with Lamar Jackson just because they don't have the assets for it, at least right now. Get Right says, should Seattle get another running back to pair with Kenneth Walker? Yes, they should. I don't think that Rashad Penny's coming back next year. I think Rashad's gone. He's going to be a free agent. I'd be surprised if they re-signed him. And I don't like the idea of signing guys in free agency, guys to a second contract. I'm looking at options in the draft. I think your number 2 running back can be a day 3 guy, like a Deuce Vaughn or something like that to that effect. To me, that's what I'm looking for is a day 3 caliber pick to be that second running back. You need another running back, but but I don't expect it to be somebody in free agency. As always, you can follow me on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, at Tyler Jones Live, talking about your Seattle Seahawks on those social media platforms. And I will see you next time right here on Seahawks Today.